one day, it was actually during those few days that we were shooting Pickett's charge, and all of the reenactors were all lined up at the tree line.
Stiflingly hot, they're in those uniforms. We're rushing out there with Gatorade and water.
You know, the reenactors are getting tired, and you know, they're really getting, you know, exhausted,
and I just had this crazy idea. I said, I wonder if Marty Sheen would just suit up as Robert E. Lee, get on Traveler and come out. It would be a big morale boost for the reenactors. And the word came back, Marty's up for it. Marty's a great guy. He's just a great guy as far as being, in addition to being a great actor. He said, yeah, he's up for it. It's a big deal. It's not like an hour and a half in makeup. He's not even going to be filmed. But he wanted to do it for the reenactors. He really cared. So we're in the middle of shooting, and there's paper cups everywhere from running out with the water. We're lining up the shot. And Marty comes riding out.
And I went down the hill and I got to the tree line, and suddenly upwards of 2,000 reenactors in their southern uniforms came pouring out of the woods, whooping and hollering and celebrating me and carrying on.
Here comes an actor portraying a father figure, Robert E. Lee, the commander of the Army of Northern Virginia, and they just simultaneously broke into this cheering.
because everybody came out of the tree line, and you know, it was one of those magic moments that were not planned. It was very cool.
I was there when that happened. It wasn't planned, but it was so genuine. I mean, and of course Martin just went with it.
They saw him come out and they spontaneously started to cheer him. And they weren't cheering Martin Sheen.
And I was just absolutely overwhelmed. Of course, it wasn't for me, it was for General Lee.
They weren't cheering a celebrity on the set. They saw Lee.
It wasn't a planned shot at all. Ron told his DP, you know, hey, get a camera on this. This is amazing.
And I'll never forget this because Ron turned around and he said, get the cameras, get the cameras.
Quick. After the AD, they ran out and they got the paper cups off the field and all the anachronisms that had been, get off the field. We turned the camera around and he just said, roll. And we captured this phenomenon. We were in the 19th century and these were Confederate soldiers cheering Lee. And you can see Marty is moved, but Marty had the good sense to stay in character. Had he not, we wouldn't have had anything. He stayed in character as Lee.
So I pretended like I knew what Lee would do in such a circumstances, and I extracted myself, went back up the hill.
And we filmed the whole thing, and then finally Kay said, turned to me that we're out of film. Now, you wouldn't be out of film now in a digital day. You'd have 2 hours with the digital. You know, you have 10-minute magazines. That was it in those days. We're out of film. So I finally said to the ADs to tell them to cut. And it took them a while to calm them down. They were going to say, cut. They didn't even know we were filming.
I could hear the screams the rebel yells from camp, from base camp.
Oh yeah,
it was
amazing. Very genuine.
Yeah. And so he threw a camera on it and it got this amazing cinematic moment.
And Ron Maxwell, the director, came running up and he said, oh my. Listen, he said, can you do that again? We're going to film it now. And I said, yeah, of course, let's see if we can do it and see what happens.
You can't be driven by the pressure on the set or you're not going to make a good movie. You're just going to deliver some pedestrian waste of time. So to be inspired on the set, to be able to do things, you have to be relaxed on a set. In my first day over, I said, we're changing the schedule. Everything we had planned to do for the rest of the afternoon, we're going to push it off to another day. So we gave it a new number on the slate, which didn't exist in the script. And we spent the next hour and a half, 2 hours, covering that scene. Now we're able to cover it in different size shots, tracking, so we're able to close-ups.
And so I rode back down again, and they came out of the woods again, and that scene is in the movie.
Here's the difference between reenactors and extras. Extras, that never would have happened. Never. They were there because they were on the Gettysburg battlefield, preparing Pickett's charge. They were with their ancestors. You know these guys, they all have, most of them, not all, most of them have ancestors. They know who the ancestor was, they know what battle he fought in, they know where he died, they know where he's buried. All these reenactors. So they, yes, my hair stood on its head. Nobody on that crew was unmoved.
Their commitment is so sincere and fulsome that they would respect my rank and the uniform I was wearing. So I mean, they really would. They would. There was a lot of saluting and a lot of. I was accorded a lot of respect, not just because I was a Hollywood big shot. It was nothing to do with that. It was these guys were living it, which made my job as an actor that much easier, of course.
I've now had 29, going on 30 years to have audience reaction. It is universally one of the favorite scenes in the movie that just happened on the set, thanks to reenactors.
The weird thing for me is that a lot of these reenactors are talking to me like I was an officer in the Southern Army, from the west of Ireland. I'd never been on a movie set before, and people saying like, "Major Marshall, you okay? Like some water, Major Marshall, Major Marshall," and they were saluting as well. It was like, all right, okay, man.
What higher praise can I give the reenactors than to relate this story? They really own this movie.